competitions. Now I request Dingurde sir to start the session.
So thank you very much. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So thank you very much, and thank you very much for a nice introduction, Vidya ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
It's a really a great pleasure and honor for me to be with you guys, and maybe I hope that you can see my screen, which is there on the. Can you see the screen on the? Hello.
No, sir. Actually, your screen is not visible.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting the messages that the screen is visible. So,
Okay.
okay, we can proceed further. So, thank you very much once again for inviting me for this particular webinar. Um, Going ahead with the robot, what do you mean by robot? You know, the origin of the robot is called as a robota, which means hard labor. So why we want to go for robot? Because we want to replace some of the hard work or difficult work by the robot. Actually, the real robot were only be possible in 1950s and 60s. And after that, it has come in a lot of automobile industries, General Motors, Chrysler. It started mainly in European country and Americas and Japanese. Now, if you see the difference between the robot and a human being, if you take the features like manipulation, in the human being, the manipulation can happen with the arms, fingers, legs, or muscles, whereas the robot has got a motors, drives, and some forms of the actuators. There's a vision, which is the eyes for the human being, and for the robot is camera. Smell is a nose for human being, but there's no smell at present developed for robot, but the research is going on in Japan and Europe to find out how the smell also can be detected. Similarly, for taste, we have tongue, and there's no particular element has been developed as it, but the research is still going on and at this level as well, because the robot also can start testing. There are some researches already happened, and some good results also come up in this area. Feel is a scheme for human being, and tactical sensors is basically a robot which can sense multiple things. Nowadays, there's a scheme for the robot is also available which can sense, which can feel, and communication for the human being is the nerves, whereas the robot has got a fiber, wires, optic, radios. Thinking capacity for human being is brain, and robot has got a controller, is basically a computers and microprocessors. This how if you can see the difference between human and the robot, but basically we are trying to create the artificial human being as a robot. So if you take the area of robotics, there are mainly it is categorized. This is my categorization. There could be a multiple categorization, but as far as the robots are concerned, I would categorize in four different areas. That is industrial robot. Mainly it is used in most of the industries, small scale industries, as well as OEMs, and service robots. Those are medical robots, security robots, research, household robot, and entertainment robot. Now, the third category is collaborative robot, which is recently developed, which can work together with a human being. And finally, the soft robot like RPA, robotic process automation. So what these robots are developed for? Mainly to find out how to do the tasks which are dull, which are repetitive, which are doing the dirty tasks. For example, there's so many, I'll give some examples in the next slide, but the dirty tasks, dangerous, difficult tasks. There's a space robotics which is coming up now, underwater robotics, then robotics assisting to the physical challenge people, nuclear science and biomedical equipment. So these are the areas of robotics, some example. The medical, you must have heard that now the robots are also doing the heart surgery. There are some robots which are doing the knee surgery. There's a robotic aircraft is there. There are military robots which are doing the security. Also, it is most of the robots in Israel, for example, is doing the border security. So there's no human being, but everything is managed by the robots. The industrial robots, these are the normally common robots. Some of you must have already seen. So these robots are widely used across the world. And finally, these are remote control. Like now, the autonomous cars are coming. The Google has developed a car without the driver. So those are also called remote control robots. Sorry. Sorry. So why the automation is required? The automation is mainly required for getting the better productivity, the accuracy, quality, then to monitor the process because it has got some intelligence and it's a less labor dependent. Today, most of the time you find that some of the work is not being done because the operator is not doing certain work. So this is not dependent on anybody. It keeps on doing as per the program. Then there's a scalability, flexibility. There's a reduce in the risk because some of the dangerous and dirty activities for which the human being is involved, this also can be reduced. There's a cost reduction possible, and of course there's a less need for governance and compliance and security. It also improves the health of the operator or organization. So the major benefits are increased throughput and productivity, and there's also possibility of quality improvement, and there's a robustness in the processes and lot of flexibility. Today you want to do certain activity, tomorrow you can immediately change it for the next activity. This flexibility is possible only by the robotics and automation, and there's also increased consistency of output because the robot will continuously work at the same cycle time, same speed, same repeatability. There's a reduction in the human labor cost and expenses because one robot can work, for example, any industry is working for 3 shifts. One robot can work for all 3 shifts, whereas you need a three separate operator in a shift in a day. What is the disadvantage of the automation? One of the biggest disadvantage is development cost. The initial capex which is required for getting the robots and robotic applications, these are very expensive. So this initial cost is going to be a challenge. But whereas if you work on the return on investment, that will always pay off if you go for the initial investment. Now, as per the International Robotic Federation of Robotics, the first time in the world, the more than 4 lakhs units got sold in a year in 2018. So almost 6% growth happened in 2018, but we reached, or the entire world has reached more than 4 lakhs robots in the world. In 2019, it is almost remains same, but it is expected as per the IFR study in 2022, it is almost 6 lakhs units. That is precisely it is 5.84 lakhs units will be utilized in across the world, and this growth is going to be exponentially high going forward in the world. So robotics growth in Asia is main growth because if you see the Americas, they already started robotics in many decades back. Similarly in Europe, whereas the Asia is a development countries, these robots are now growing slowly. It is growing in multifolds. Now it is expected, as I mentioned, that more than 4 lakhs itself by 2022 in Asia. And out of the Asian countries, China is going to be a bigger player in the industrial robot, and there'll be a main end user for the industrial robot. Now, the key industries for the robotics is automotive, electronics, and metals. Automotive, you know, in India also, it is going to be if the automotive industries goes down, everything, the economy goes down. So that is the reason the automotive plays a very major role. And second is electronics And of course, the metals and food industry and pharmaceutical industries are also growing now. There's a collaborative robot, as I mentioned earlier. These robots are a niche area as of today because it's a very, very new area for the entire world. But the collaborative robot is also going to grow in a big way in across the world. So today, if you see the technological development in expanding robot adoption is mainly because of the more intelligent components, that is smart grippers, because you have only robot which can take the particular gripper, and the gripper makes has a sensors, has got a lot of intelligence. So that is one of the biggest component in the robotics. Second one is the greater connectivity. It's like a plug and play. You can take the robot and then just plug it and start working on that, make multiple applications. There's a cloud computing is also there. It's easier to use. Earlier, you need a special skill sets to use the robot, but now it has been made very, very easy. And it's basically a programming by demonstration because you show that, and then by the visual inspection, the robot can understand the program what you want to do, and it can perform the activities. What is going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow, you all must be knowing now the machine learning, deep learning, the artificial intelligence, which is going to enable that learn by trial and error. You may not be perfect, you don't know what to do, what activity needs to be done to perform particular activity, but the robot can learn and then perform by trial and error. There's a self-optimization also is possible by the robots, and it can also communicate with the other machines through different operating softwares. One of them is robotic operating systems, that is ROS, which is now going to come in future in all the machines. There's another possibility which can happen tomorrow. Nobody would like to buy the robot, but they would like to go for the robot as a service. So the new business model is going to merge because the biggest problem for any industry is capital. Nobody wants to invest in the beginning. So that is the reason this service also will go in a bigger way. So if you see the global robotics market for industrial robots specifically, the China is the largest single market. Second is Japan. Japan is now is the second largest market, and remaining Asian countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, they are expected to be a major driver for the robotics. As far as the value-wise is concerned, and the CAGR, that is growth per year from 2019 to 2024 is expected 17%, whereas the number of robots almost 19% growth is expected, which is a very, very huge growth is going to happen in coming years. As far as the robot density is concerned, basically, if you see the number of highest robot density in Singapore, but how to measure the density of the robot in any particular country? There's a norms are there which is across the world, it is measured in a similar way against 10,000 operators, how many robots are working in that particular country. So that is called as a density of the robot in that particular country. Currently, Singapore has got the highest density in Asia. The average for the world is 99 robots against 10,000 operators. Whereas in India, if you see, in 2014, it was only 2 robots against 10,000 operators, and 2018, it has become 4. And now 2019 and 20, current ratio is only 4.5 robots as against 10,000 operators, which is extremely low compared to other development countries, even in Asia as well. This similar stage was there in China in 2003, 2004. They also had almost same range of 4 to 5 numbers against 10,000 operator, but currently they are almost having 110 robots against 10,000 operator, and that is growing very fast in China. And that is the reason the Chinese are using more robots in all the areas, all the industries. So today you may find, because of the current situation, there could be some turbulence in the future for the robotics, but the future for the robotics is still bright because the demand which is going to increase in development country as well as in the non-development countries because of the current situation as well. So automotive industry is basically going through a transformation. Today you must have seen that a lot of automotive industries are having internal combustion engines, which is a petrol, diesel and gasoline, which is getting transferred to the electrical vehicle. So this is going to be a huge change that could give some dip to the robotic industry also, because the consumption will be less till they develop the electrical vehicle. There is also declining sales, especially in the smartphones, automotive, real estate, consumer goods, etc. So that will also impact a little bit. And there's some political headwinds like trade wars, like currently between the China and America, and also globally, there are a lot of trade wars are going on. That will give some turbulence in the robotics business. However, tomorrow, if you see that the the new emerging and rapidly growing market is going to happen in most of the countries, because everybody wants to go for the change, the new style of living because of current situation. There's also increased manufacturing flexibility, and that is what is expected in most of the industries. Everybody wants to have a different, for example, everybody has got aspiration to have a different car. Nobody want to like to have a same car which our neighbors has. So that is the reason everybody look for the different flexibility manufacturing, different kind of types of robots, and also there's the different types of equipment. Anybody would like to have a new kind of equipment. There's also business and technological innovations, which is required for a MSME, the small scale and medium scale industries. And of course, there's a demographic time bomb. Now, coming to the service robots, as I mentioned earlier, these are industrial robot and the service robot are the major ones. And in the service robot also, there's a huge growth is happening from 2018 onwards. In 2018, 32% increase happened, whereas in 22, it is expected almost 45% increase in the world for the service robot. And which are the service areas? One is the logistics, medical robots, field robotics, and defense. The major thing will happen in the logistics. Earlier, there's the grocery shops are very small shops are there. Today, you see a lot of malls, and again in the malls, you want to find out the particular material. You don't find it out. You need to really search in the mall. So there's a possibility that the robots can find out the right material for you. That is why the robotics is going to increase in the logistics area. Medical, of course, you must have now seen the robots are coming in the way, especially during this COVID situation. Field robotics, which is a huge demand, can happen. Currently in India, we are very good in the agriculture. Our lot of economy is depending on the agriculture, but we don't have so much of robots in the fields. Whereas in America and also in Europe, there are a lot of robots are there also in the fields. But unfortunately, their economy is not so dependent on the fields. Whereas if we can make more robotics in the fields, there's a lot of opportunity for the Indian market, and of course for the defense for the all the countries and also in the world. So coming back to the new form of the robot is AGVs, is called auto guided vehicle. It can be used in most of the logistics area as well as in the industries for transferring the material from one place to another, or maybe a supermarket to the working place. So these units are also extremely useful, and there's a huge growth happened in 2018, almost 60% compared to the 2017, and 1,76,000 units has been sold in 2019, and 22 it is expected 7,12,000 units. So you can see there's a huge growth is going to happen for the AGVs as well. Now the AGV has got another form which is not mentioned here, but it's called AMR, Autonomous Mobile Robot, where you can mount the robot on the AGV or AMR, and the robot can travel from one place to another, which can perform additional activities compared to the AMR. Now, what is the difference between the industrial robot and service robot. Frankly speaking, there's a very thin line between two robots. So depending on the application, the same robot, like industrial robot, can be also considered as an industrial service robot, because the service robots which you perform has also almost similar number of axes and same thing, but only thing is that the safety is most important in the service robot. The basically the innovation business process and the collaborative robot which has been adopted in the industrial robot, which is now performing the service robot, especially the artificial intelligence, machine learning. Those are the enablers for the robots to sense and respond to the respective environment. And robots are supporting humans. That's the reason it is called as a service robot, and it can work collaboratively together with the human. There's also strong growth expected in the medical and agriculture, which is again a service robot, and also in the agriculture, as I mentioned earlier. So there's a huge demand, especially in the medical sector. Now also there's a lot of opportunities are there. We need to still work on that. How to use a robot for taking some swab testing or any other testing, especially in the current situation. There's field robotics, which I already mentioned. There's a 50% increase is expected in the field, that is in agriculture, and most of the robots are also used in the milking robots. There's a 8% growth has happened in 2018, and further growth is expected almost 50% by 2022. So with this background, I wanted to come back to our own company, this Bravo Robotics and Automation, how it has been formed. To give a little bit background of the robotics in India, we started in 2000. This company called Tata Automation Limited was formed out of the two divisions of Telco. Earlier Telco, now is Tata Motors, and it's called Machine Tool Division and Growth Division. This both the divisions got combined together, and the TAL was formed. In 2015, we entered into robotics and automation business. We created the first Indian robot, articulated robot, and we showcased this robot in 2016 in Mumbai in Make in India program, which was widely accepted. And 2018, 17, 18, we launched this robot, about 10 kg and 2 kg payload capacity. The idea behind making this robot was when we were making the Indica plant. The Indica plant was made first time in 1999. We installed the first robot in Tata Motors in 1995. That is the first time we used the robot in Tata Motors line. And that was mainly for the first newly developed indigenous car, that is Indica. The line was made, especially the body, I'm talking only about the body shop, where the complete body is made for the Indica. So one body shop produces approximately one car in 105 seconds, and we had almost 110 robots installed. So you can imagine it was almost less than 2 minutes, one car is to get rolled out for Indica. Subsequently, we have seen that this production line was like one of the fastest line in Asia those days. However, the quality was also quite good. But unfortunately, the parts coming from the tier 1, tier 2 supplier, they were not up to the mark, and the volumes are also very less. So that was the idea. We wanted to start something in India. How can we also do the production or productivity improvement in the tier 1 and tier 2 sector? And that's so the idea came to our mind. We had to do something for India. How can we support Indian manufacturers, especially small scale industries and medium scale industries, to enter into the automation and robotics so that they can also give the volumes and the quality. That was a thinking which was going on from 1995. And unfortunately, in India, nobody had come up with the robots. And a lot of robots came only from the outside country, either from Japan or from Germany or from other European countries. whereas India had never entered into robotics because of the lot of manpower issues or lot of manpower is available, and that is a mindset of the people that they can use more manpower in the industry. However, we decided we had in 2014, we thought that it is a time for us now to enter into robotics and automation because many people doesn't want to go for a blue collar job. And that is the reason we created the first robot as a prototype robot in India. We had taken that step and we entered into the market. And 2018, we really got a very good response from the market, especially from the small scale industries. So we belong to the 100% subsidiary of Tata Motors, and within the Tata family, we belong to the engineering sector in the Tata under the Tata umbrella. So our vision is that we should be, the first choice for any customer for the automation, and our preferred employer of choice. We wanted to become a preferred employer of choice, and then we also wanted to offer the highest returns to our stakeholder. That is what is our vision. And so, what is the key enablers for doing vision and mission statement is basically a customer centric. We should be always finding what the customer needs and what is our strong technology focus, because the technology is changing every time and we need to adopt to those technologies. Otherwise, we could have continuously working only with the human being, not the robot or any other automation. Then creating the innovative solutions, it should be a cost effective and productive. Then there should be a operational excellence. We should always try to achieve operational excellence. In the beginning, Tata Motors, when I mentioned earlier, Indica, 105 seconds, we created a second line for Vista and Manza for 54 seconds. Earlier, it was less than 2 minutes. Now we created the line for less than 1 minute. So this is what is operational excellence we have created, and that's we keep on improving. The latest cycle time in any of the body shop all over the world is only 27 seconds. So you can imagine one car comes out in the 27 seconds in Germany. There's also, we have to create a robust and in-house integration capability. We need to have a lot of training required for the students, especially because when they are come out of the college, they should be future ready. And that is the reason we need to create very robust and strong training program for the integration capability. And we also should ensure the high product and service reliability. So when we are trying to find out what is driving for the robotics and automation, so when we talk the tier one, tier two supplier, we try to find out what is their need. What is there are two things, whether they are it is required or not required, or it is required or it's a need or a want. So when we try to find out the tier one, tier two supplier their requirements, we realize that their biggest challenge for them is to adopt the robotics or automation is the spare parts availability. And second one is easy to use. They want to get something, but it should be easy to use and the spare parts should be available. So they were not worried about so much about the price, but they were worried about the spares and how can I use it very easily. I don't have to get a separate person for running that particular robot or automation. It will be done with the existing team. That was their question. And the third option, they were asking for the service turnaround time. Earlier, the robot breakdown or any automation breakdown, people used to come fly from outside India because that kind of skill sets are not available. And finally, the cost of ownership. Cost of ownership means what is the value of the spare parts, what is the value of the service. So in case something goes under breakdown, how fast you can replace it. So all this cost is called as a cost of ownership. So these are the major areas where we found that this is what is the tier one, tier two supplier people were looking for. And if you can fulfill all these needs by the tier one, tier two supplier, then probably will be the successful automation company. So considering this, we decided to enter into robotics, and we created the first indigenous robot in India. We are the company who created the first articulated robot manufacturing line, and we launched this robot in 2017 April. To start with, we created the 10 kg payload capacity robot. The 10 kg payload capacity, why 10 kg? There somebody may ask. As per the ILO standard, that is International Labour Organization standard, any operator can lift up to 10 kg payload capacity. And the reach of the robot, maybe a 750 to 800 millimeter reach, is again like a human arm, almost 750 to 800 millimeter reach. And the speed of the robot is almost 1000 millimeter per minute. So this is actually more than sufficient, like a human being who are doing the repetitive work, dull work, and some of the dangerous work. So that is why we created the robot with this specification to start with. Then we created a 6 kg payload capacity, is mainly used for welding and other applications. Then, but those robots were mainly for the stepper driven motor and belt driven motor. Subsequently, we created a high speed and high reliability and also high repeatability robot for 12 kg and 20 kg using the servo driven robots. These robots are we have recently launched, but the 12 kg, 10 kg and 6 kg payload capacity robot we already installed in most of the small scale industries. Now more than 100 plus robots are working across India, and that was a good breakthrough in for us as well as for the Indian industries, especially creating the such kind of a robot for small scale industries. And but these industries are not only for the automobile industry, we have given it to different industries. So the genesis of the idea of Bravo, the journey till date, as I mentioned that 2014 we created the first prototype articulated robot. 2015 we created the controller, which is indigenously developed, complete programming, uh, including all components inside, has been developed inside in India. In 2016, we launched this robot in Make in India, and we also received the certificates for CE and IP certification, which is mandatory for operating the robots. 2017, we launched the robot for the market, and 2018, we also received a lot of awards for developing this robot. And 2019, we again came out with the 12 kg to up to 30 kg robot with the servo-driven motors. So our business focus in the BRAL, that is Bravo Robotics and Automation, is on three pillars: robotics and application. We have our own robots up to 30 kg payload capacity, and probably going forward we'll be manufacturing, designing and manufacturing up to 50 kg payload capacity. That is our first pillar. And we also do the robot. Along with the robot, we also do a lot of applications, especially MIG welding, handling, sealing, gluing. All these applications are done with our robot. Second pillar is factory automation, smart manufacturing, where we also can integrate others robot. For example, the robot having different capacities or different make, that also we can integrate. And third pillar is service. That means we also, wherever the robot factories are there or where the robotic applications are there, we can also run those robotic lines ourselves, and it's like a pay on production. So currently we are manufacturing the bogies for the Indian Railways in one of the factory in MCF. There is a modern coach factory in India, and this factory is basically producing almost 4 bogies per day, and that is done by completely by robot, and we are only doing the supervision part of that, and we are maintaining those robots. And our target industries are automotive, castings, forgings, pharmaceutical, ordnance factory, construction equipment, logistics, aerospace, general industries. And target customers are also small scale industries to large scale industries. Currently, we are in our head office is in Pune, and we have regional office in Delhi and also in Chennai. But we also have some sales offices in different parts of India, like Gujarat, Belgaum, and in Hyderabad, and also in Calcutta. We are the complete turnkey solution provider. Along with the robot, we also give the complete line, including the equipments like handling systems or grippers. So these are that is our USP, and we have given lot of integration to many of the companies across the industries, different industries. So most out of that, the major applications what is being done by our robot is machine tending, pick and place, vision system, sealant, deburring, palletizing, abrading, and then deflashing, grinding, and welding. So these are the main activities we have created. The application has been created. And in the under the factory automation, we have given a complete line, a robotic manufacturing line, especially for the automobile as well as for the moving equipment and general industries. A lot of jigs and fixtures has been given for railways, aerospace, bus industries, and we are also given a complete aircraft manufacturing to Alenia in Italy. All the fixtures has been supplied by us. There's also material handling system. We give the overhead material handling on the slide conveyor, which is moving on the ground. So all this material handling also has been provided by us. And we are one of the very automated material handling called is the ASRS, Automatic Storage and Retrieval System. The biggest ASRS system has been given by us in India for the Amul Dairy and Banas Dairy. So in a short time, we created a lot of supplier, lot of customer base, and we are the preferred supplier for most of the customers in automotive, FMCG, aerospace and defense, and industrial, and also in the education sector. We have now recently started creating the educational cell, EduCard, which I'll be covering in future slides. So we received a lot of awards. In 2015, we got a Best Technology Award, Make in India Award, then the Quality Brand, and the Industrial Excellence Award. But one of the most prestigious award what we received or we have recognized by the IFR, International Federation of Robotics. We have been identified on the 30th number in the world to start this robotic in a very short time. And for Tata Innovesta, which is one of the very great competition within the Tata Group, and we got this Best Product Innovation Award from Tata Innovesta. And from ASSOCHAM, we also received the Emerging Technology Award in 2019. So these awards has given us really a good motivation for the entire team. And when we got this award, we are further expecting many more in coming years. So coming back to the teams, we when we started our journey in 2017, before that we had only 4 members, very youngsters fresh from the college, and we started this journey. With the 4 members, we created the first prototype, which has been shown to the board members, and subsequently we added the members, and now we are currently by 2019 we have more than 100 employees working on in the robotics and automation. But to get the robotics background engineers, it was very difficult, and because there's no specific branch was available that time when we started our journey. But nowadays many colleges has got a robotics and automation streamline, and we are getting few robotics and automation experts directly from the college. We have a very young team. Almost 84% are below 30 years of age, and 85% of them are all our engineers, either BE or BTech. We also a lot of IIT students, and we also have a gender diversity, and almost 30% female employees are working in right from sales to the manufacturing division. We have a lot of expertise in the department wise. If you see that in the design, we have a CATIA and other FEA analysis, NPA process, Industry 4. All this knowledge has been imparted to them, and students who come from the colleges, they still come and learn. They do a lot of internship here, and some subsequently they continue to work in the brand. We also have a strong project management team, pre-sales and proposal team, procurement, assurance, and sales and marketing. We also have IP. Our own IP. We already registered 4 patents on these robots, and additional patents are planned for new robots, that is for 12 kg and 20 kg. And we are confident of getting these patents. We also a lot of certification, especially for manufacturing the toolings for aerospace. You need a separate certification, and we receive the certifications. That is the reason we can manufacture all the tools and fixtures for Boeing as well as Airbus. And we are the only supplier currently in India who can manufacture with certified toolings for Boeing and Airbus. So this is our shop floor. We almost have a 9,500 square meters of area. We have a complete setup ready for assembling and testing of the robot for different types of robot. We also have a painting booth inside, the assembly toolings, and also the test. Lot of testing facilities are available. So these are the one of the testing area for robotic where we can check the speed and reliability of the robots for each and every axis, and this gives a lot of confidence in the team when the robot goes to the particular application whether it will work or not. So we have all these sophisticated equipments which are available, and people are expert to run this equipment and test the robot. Coming back to the automation is going to be a very key factor for post-pandemic. And what is the opportunity in India? This focusing on the three factors: automation, education, prosperity of productivity. So this is what is going to be a key focus. So cost optimization is going to be a major driver because everybody is very cautious about the cost, and there should be also people should companies which are now willing to go for the investment in automation because they are lost lot of operators. Many people have gone home, so they don't get the operators, and that is the reason they are looking for the automation. The people are also empowered by the automation. Is actually this has to be given, empowerment has to be given to the most of the team members within the organization so that we can face this crisis, current crisis. There's the automation and jobs are not mutually exclusive, and focus on human achieving their full potential and aspiration is a must. Today, we are productivity in currently in Tata Motors, so the production which is going on more than 1,000 cars or vehicles per day is suddenly to maybe maximum 10 to 20 numbers. So you can imagine how much is a huge loss is happening for, and this is not only for automobile, but this is happening for all other industries as well. And that is the reason the automation is going to play a major role, especially in current situation. Even for imagine that there's a social distancing on the lines. When you have a lot of people are working for assembly, which is not possible, feasible, and is not advisable in the current stage. So when you have a robot, there's a collaborative robots are there, or any automation is there. So most of the things can be done by robot or automation, and the social distancing also can be maintained. So we all are currently working. How can we provide the solutions for social distancing, especially in the assembly and manufacturing lines? There's all stakeholders, for example, the founders, the investors, industry leaders, and public policy shapers. They must emphasize workers and customers they serve, because unless and until the stakeholders and investors they realize that this is a industry which is going to grow, then only there's a lot of possibility that we can change the scenario in India for the automation and robotics. There's also call for Atmanirbhar, that's self-reliant India movement. We had to believe our own product. Just to give a story, when I was working for KUKA, they started almost 4 decades, more than 4 5 decades back. They created the first robot, and this robot was given to the small scale industries in Germany. And today they are more or less number one in most of the areas applications, and they're fastest robot, most reliable robot, and most accurate robot. But they reached this stage only because their own country people have helped them. Those people have given a lot of guidance and then support, and they have given feedback to the own industry, and that's how they could improve it. Today when we started our journey, I'm not saying that we'll be able to make the 100% correct robot, but we need to get a lot of feedback within the country so that we can keep on improving it, and then probably we can compete with the world. But this Atmanirbhar and self-reliant is extremely important, especially when what are the equipment or what are the product we make in India, and we should keep on believing our own product. We should start using our own product. Nowadays, you must have seen a lot of WhatsApp messages and any other news that we have to keep on working on this, and that is the fact. Today, if you see Samsung, LG. When it comes, Samsung, LG means only Korea. The Korean has believed that product, and they made that product, and a lot of people are buying. If you go to Korea, most of the TVs, fridge, everything is from either from LG or from Samsung. Similarly, in Japanese, lot of products, even including the small sensor also is made in Japan, and they believe that product and they work on that product. And today they are number one in most of the product lines. Similarly, in Germany, also a lot of car manufacturers, now they are becoming global. So one day we had to create our own product and keep on believing in our own product so that we can make impact and we can also compete with the world standard. There's a five pillars automation of Atmanirbhar Bharat is that economy, infrastructure, systems, vibrant demography, and demand. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, that vocal for local for making it global. That's extremely important. We have to keep on believing our own whatever product we do, and that will keep on. We can keep on improving that, and we have to believe our product and buy our own product. So why we are the right partner for the country's automation requirement today for the robotics and automation? Because we created the first indigenous range of the robot, and at the best in its class cost of the ownership. Today we are the almost 30 to 40% lesser compared to any other competitor in terms of cost of ownership. We offer the complete integrated offerings. Let it be the person can only or the industry can only mention about the problem statement and we give the complete solution. We also have got a coupled with automation and service capabilities, and we also maintain those equipment for a long time because being within the locally available, we can serve them much better. There's also all benefits from a strong leadership team and a supportive organization structure. We have really a strong organization team or leaders in each area, each department. They can take their own call and then they can support to the entire team and the entire organization structure that helps them in turn to serve much better to the customer. We have built up the strong ecosystems, and also we have a very huge vendor base available, which is supporting us. Those are the extended arms for us. And mainly there's a lot of concern which was going on, which I earlier mentioned. One of the disadvantage for automation that everybody feels that they will reduce the number of people in the company or in the industry. But I'd say it's other way around. When we started making the robot, nobody was there. We started with only 2 or 3 people, and now we have more than 100 employees working only in the robotics and automation. So we created the employment. We also created a lot of vendor base for manufacturing subcomponents. Earlier, those components were never made. Like for example, the robot cover, the motors, drives, everything is now made by somebody else. We don't manufacture each and every component. So that additional revenue stream has been generated for the tier 1, tier 2 supplier. So we are saying that the robots will not steal the job. In fact, it will create more jobs. And on top of that, we also have the productivity increase by the robot. You must have heard that earlier in the banks, there was no computers were there. Nobody was using the computer. But when the computer came into the market, suddenly there's a lot of resistance was there. If the computer many people will lose the job in the banks. So today the banks cannot operate without the computer. Nobody can operate without the computer. This stage is going to come. Even the mobile also has come into market. Only few people used to use a mobile. Today, everybody is using the mobile. And without mobile, you cannot survive. Otherwise, there is always a fear that PCOs and other companies will lose the opportunity. But everybody has now entered into this mobile. So I personally feel that the robotics and automation is going to bring a lot of employment and also the better productivity and better security. Coming back to our own company, we have a lot of vision, and we want to continue in the growth and creating the new product, and also optimize the current products by entering into new segments. So our focus is going to be now on developing more than 30 kg payload capacity up to 50 kg payload capacity. We also wanted to enter into the AGVs and AMRs. We already created one AMR now. The prototype is ready, which is one of the first AMR in India. And this AMR also can carry the robot as well as it can carry the other equipment. And up to 1.5 ton payload capacity, we created a AMR. Gantry also we created up to 55 kg payload capacity, which is again area gantry as well as a Cartesian type of gantry. The SCARA robots and Delta robots, which is a very fast moving robots for especially for FMCG, that also has been created. And we are currently working on the prototypes, and some of them are under the testing and validation. We are also upgrading our core technology. Earlier technology, which was used for the 10 kg and 6 kg payload capacity by stepper motor and belt-driven technology, now we are no more going to use that. We'll be entering into the servo-driven and gear-driven technology, and which is much faster and much reliable. So we are upgrading that. We are also upgrading our controller, that is the brain of the robot, by changing from earlier control system to the new system. There's new operating system, that is ROS, the robotic operating system. I think this will be the first in India if we can come out by this year. So we'll be the first people to use our own ROS developed controller in India. We also wanted to enter into new segments. In different segments, it could be any right from manufacturing the ATM machine, or it could be automobile, textile industry, plastic industry, electronic industry. So this is what we are currently working on. And there's also areas that's called soft robots, where we are also trying to find out how can we integrate the machines by IoT solutions and the machine learning and deep learning solutions. Can we use the artificial intelligence in our robotics? And also we are entering to RPA, where we can create a soft bots for doing the repetitive work, which are happening for in sales division or sales or manufacturing or any other division. Now today, if you see in Japan, the Fanuc robot or the robots are made by the robot itself. So this, if you go in the Japan, most industries, in the night shift, the robots are working because they don't require light. The robot can work and manufacture and assemble the robot themselves. So the 3,000 robots are made in a year in same factory by robots. So very few people are there. That is why the reliability and reliability of those robots are much higher. So we need to reach to that stage in India as well. We also support and collaborate with the startup companies. And one of the startup companies example I have taken it here. There is Bandicoot scavenging robot. This is one of the area where the robots needs to be used. That is dull, dirty, and dangerous. I mentioned those 3D. Now it's also 4D is going to come. This difficult. So dull, dirty, dangerous, and difficult. So the Bandicoot robot is one of the robot which is used for so-called dangerous and dirty also. This scavenging robot is mainly used for removing the the dirt, or the scavenging is done from the manholes. Currently in India, approximately 4 to 5 people are dying in a week's time. Every week, 4 to 5 people they die in doing this kind of activity. This robot has been made by the Kerala students, very young students. They came out of the college and then they decided they wanted to do something. and they got an opportunity to make this robot, and they created this robot. And today, they with the team of almost 25 people, they made this designing and manufactured that robot and proven that robot. After that, they approached us and they wanted to have some support from us for further design improvement and optimization, and also for manufacturing. Currently, we are manufacturing the Bandicoot robot with their design, and design optimization has been done by us, and we are working together with them to further improve on that robot. And this robot is being used in many states now. uh, this you can call this a first robot in the world. Nobody has created a manual scavenging robot in the world. And once we modify and further do the re-engineering of this robot, probably we can mount this robot on the vehicle, and this vehicle can go during the rainy season also to to do the manual scavenging for each manhole. So this is one of the very great success has happened in India, and I think we all should be proud because we are really taking away the inhuman job from the people. Second one is a fluid robotics. Is a fluid robotics is basically a robot which can enter into the pipelines, underground pipelines, and it can go and track the pipelines. It can also map the complete pipeline layout, and it can also detect the cracks inside the pipeline, and it can give the exact coordinate where the leakages are there. So the person can go there directly and then repair the leakages. So this is also one of the great innovation which has happened in India, and we are also supporting them to manufacture the fluid robotics. And this robot now, just for all of your information, you may not be knowing that, but this robot is also now going to be used to collect the sewage from many of the chambers. It has been found that the COVID is also traced in a manual stool, and this has been observed in most of the countries, including France, Japan, and also in America. The manual stool can, there's no symptoms of the COVID, but still there's a possibility of finding the detection of the COVID in manual stool. So to collect that stool, this robot, we are going to use it this month in Mumbai and as well as in Pune, where the COVID patients are more, to collect the sample from the particular drainage and then go for testing in Mumbai. And this testing facility has been created for this particular activity with the help of France doctors, and we'll be taking these samples very soon, maybe next week. And in case it is successful, so we can find out which exact location and which exact society there's a COVID patients are there, and we can detect those. That's a that's one of the great innovation. If we get successful in that, probably this will be deputed in most of the parts of the countries and many cities. But this is in the initial stage. I think some of you must have read that Amitabh Bachchan himself has mentioned when we had a lockdown that in the manual stool the COVID traces are there, but nobody has taken it so seriously. But now it is coming out very seriously that in the manual stool also can the person can find, or the doctors can find the COVID traces, and that's what exactly we are going to find it out in coming days. There's another company called Thrashcan Robotics from Bangalore, where whatever the wet and the dry wastage is there in the at home, so we just throw it in two different baskets. So from there, from the wet trash, we can convert this whole trash into the fertilizers from the wet trash, and from the dry trash we can convert this into cardboards or some walls, and which can be used reused. So this is one of the very great innovation as well. So this also we are going to support them if when we'll be manufacturing and also doing the redesigning and also coming out with a new concept and what else can be done with this Trashcon robotics. So we are trying to find out how we can club these different robotics innovations and create one big umbrella in the robotics in coming years. There's also the robotic applications for current situation. For example, as I earlier mentioned, can we check the swab by the robot? So we have created one prototype here in Bral, whereas the robot is collecting the swab from the patient, and then it is without handling the by human being, and it is very safe. And this has been now seen by the doctors. The first prototype has been seen by the doctors, and they have given the approval to us. And now we need to take the approval from IMR. And once we get the approval, probably we'll be deputing the robot in some of the hospitals. So that will save a lot of people from getting the infected by the by COVID-19. There's a next application which we are currently doing is by checking the robot temperature by the robot by the by robot itself, and maintaining that complete accuracy as well as the data, and giving that information to the particular person, and also giving the record to the particular medical cell. For example, any industry like Tata Motors, Bajaj, or Mahindra, many employees are coming in and going out every day in the morning and evening. So temperature checking by the security guard is very tedious job. So we are creating the robot which can check the temperature of each and every employee. It can record it, and this information is given to that particular employee as well as it goes to the medical cell. So this work has been completely done, and this robot can exactly detect the forehead and take the temperature. And it also detects whether the person is wearing the mask or not, whether he has got glasses or not, and all when the temperature is checking, while checking the temperature, whether his eyes are closed or not. Because when the eyes are closed, then only the rays can be passed to check the temperature. So all this protection and detection has been proven by the visual system by our robot, and now we are currently deputing it within Bral itself from next week onwards. Finally, there's another robot which can also do the spraying and disinfect all the vehicles which are coming inside the plant and going outside the plant. Everything is disinfected by the robot by spraying. So this is another activity which has to be done on daily basis. So this activity we are planning, we have done the designing and then simulation. Hopefully we'll be launching this robot also, this application along with our robot in coming days. Now coming back to the academia, our idea is to how we can bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. Today we are finding a lot of students who come and they say that okay, I done a lot of work, I done studied a lot of studies in robotics, but they are far behind in the practical things, and that is what we wanted to bridge that gap between the industries and academia, and what is required to do that. So if you see the ideal candidate for the industry is that he should be knowing robot configuration, programming, automation, fault diagnosis, system integration, then simulation, sensor technology. All these things are required by the student, and any industry, when the student comes to us, we try to find out whether he is aware of all this technology. And if he doesn't have, then only if he has got a theoretical information, then it's very difficult for any industry to absorb him in any of the industries, especially the industries which has got a more automation and robotics. So what we created is that how can we give this or impart this knowledge to the academia. So we created a center of excellence for automation and robotics, and we came out with a different option for center of excellence for automation and robotics. So the center of excellence in automation and robotics is basically a big lab, starting with the material, how to use the material, what material is used, because today we have a casting, there could be a carbon fiber, anything can be used. So different materials are also required, and what other equipments are required. So all this list is given to them, and whether either the college can buy it or we can give the complete turnkey solution. We also give the complete training, and there's all other sections like mechanical, electronics, and research platform. All support is provided by us. So this is one of the glimpses you can see of the Center of Excellence for the robotics and automation. So we give the complete turnkey solution, including the 3D printer. Then there's a robotic research platform. What other research is possible in current scenario in India, as well as what is going on in the world. We also have instruments and tool required for the robotics. And there's a pneumatics technology, vacuum technology, hydraulic technology. All these technologies, based on the requirement of the college and universities, we can provide them. And how to integrate all these things together, along with the IoT solutions or RPA solutions. So this is another picture of the Center of Excellence. And now what we have done is that to understand the basic robotics and how can the student learn real robotics, and whenever he is ready, come out of the college, he is ready for industry. So that is the reason we created approximately 4 options where different kinds of robots are there, or rather not robot, the robot remains same, but the applications are different. And these applications are created by the students itself. We only provide the equipment and we train them hands-on experience, and then they can do themselves. Option 1, where we have given a 10 kg payload capacity with a trolley, and the different applications are there with a gripper assembly and then cart chassis as a palletizing and path tracing application. So this can be used as a standard cell, which we sell it, and then probably the students can work on that. Once they understand this thing, they can create a new applications using the same process. Similarly, the option 2 has got a different layout. It's a fixed layout, and it has got again a gripper unit. Then there's a ball matrix and white board marker unit, so that a robot can write something, and they can design how to write. Then we can place also part of that. Part tracing is also there. Similarly, we created option 3 with a different applications again, but more or less everything remains. The basic robot remains same. Only the application required and also the end effector keeps on changing. And finally, the option 4, which has got a 2 kg payload capacity, is a small robot, so that it can also detect, can be used for the sensor and also for vision sensor and lenses, and it has got a vision software. And robot specifications, most of the 3 options has got a 10 kg, 750 millimeter reach, and 5-axis robot, and which is a stepper driven, because the students can basically, if they understand this particular programming, they can run any other robot because the concept remains more or less same. So the excellence of the WABO Center of Excellence, return on investment and other benefits are: provide necessary technical edge. We give the complete technical support and also the guidance. We also set up the entire lab, and we provide the training to not only to the students but also to the faculty, and also train the trainers, and maybe students can also train the next batch students. We also have a 1-year technical assistant. We can provide full time if required. We also we normally sign the MOU with the academia, and then we give the complete support even for developing the syllabus for that particular college. There's also assistance in doing the projects and research papers. We give the self-sustainable technically and financially support if required. We arrange some industrial visit, whatever we are manufacturing, and the students can come and visit our factory. There's a possibility of getting internship at Bravo, as in maybe it could be a 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months. Sometimes it is 1 year. So we have a lot of students coming from across the India, and we also give the guidance for setting up syllabus, as I mentioned. But this syllabus maybe it could be exclusively for robotics and automation, or it could be a part of the syllabus for electronics, mechanical, or computer science division. There's also an opportunity for students to be a future ready and market ready. So with our support. As I mentioned that we also give a lot of support for startup engagement. So mainly the students who come out of the college, we also support them. If he has got an idea and it's feasible, we support them. And that gives the student to have high recognition. Then he also can take the risk to enter into the field because he feels that there's a backup from the industry. But the expectations are that it should be a new and innovative ideas, and it should be tested. The product should be tested at least with the prototype, and we can lower the cost of the innovation by supporting them and reduce the risk of the innovation. And BRAL can support for defining and then key performance index or indicators, and to build a sustainable model we can support him or her, and support in programming and governance structure to build a strategy. And we can also work together with the person collaboratively, and mentorship, and of course the growth strategy also we can support. With this background, we created, as I mentioned earlier, that Gen Robotics, which has created this scavenging robot. We signed up with them on 17th of November, along with Dr. Mashelkar. In fact, we received this award from Dr. Mashelkar, Anjani Mashelkar's award for this innovation. The Gen Robotics had received, and on the same day we signed the the minutes of memorandum and also understanding to create and support them for designing as well as for manufacturing. So with this, thank you very much, and then I'll be now happy to take any questions if there are.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your nice session. There is a question from Dr. Sir. What is the procedure to sign the MOU with the organization?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
No, it's not clear.
Okay, sir. Now, is it audible? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, now it's audible, yeah.
Okay, sir, there is one question from Lahudkar, sir. What is the procedure to sign MOU with your organization?
MOU for?
Means they wanted to sign MOU, or what is the procedure to sign MOU with your organization or with your company?
No, they can visit our company, and our colleagues can get in touch with them. And for example, if they wanted to go for a center of excellence training or a setup, or maybe a training cell, they can sign up with our company. There's a standard formats are there. They need to sign the NDA, that non-disclosure agreement, and probably we can sign the MOU.
Okay, sir. Now there is one technical question actually. What is the difference between articulated robots, SCARA robot, Delta robot?
Yeah, articulated robot is basically it can have a multiple axis and more than 3 axis, 4 axis, and the SCARA robot has got a very less number of axes, the 3 axis. The articulated robot is like you can imagine is a human hand. Human hand can have a multiple axis. For example, starting from the finger itself, the hand itself has got a multiple axis. So this is each axis is driven by each separate motor, and this is called as the axis, and it can have a plus and minus and number of the degrees also plus and minus degree. These axis depending on the number of axes is defined as the articulated robot or a SCARA robot or a Delta robot. And the second difference is speed. In case of Delta robot or SCARA robot, the speed is very, very high. Almost it can pick up almost 120 feet per per minute, whereas articulated robot has got maximum 200 millimeters read, 200 millimeters per second per minute is the speed. So this is the difference between the Para robot and the articulated robot and the Zeta robot.
Okay, sir. One more question is there from Vivek Joshi. That is, what kind of background is required for freshers, and what about the software knowledge, programming knowledge, to get into this field?
Madam, your question is not very clear. Can you come back again?
Sir, question is like this: is what kind of background is required to enter in the robotics field? Programming background, which type of programming is required? Means which type of programming students should learn, like embedded C or Python or anything.
Actually, that when nothing is required, only the passion and then the person who is really interested in the understanding the robotics, that is more important. First thing is the passion to learn,
Okay.
and second thing is that whether there will be a lot of difficulties in learning, and they should not step back. So that kind of commitment is required. Otherwise, anybody can learn robot, and anybody can do the programming, and it is open for everybody.
Okay, sir. Students are also interested to do the internship in your company, as well as they are interested to get the training. Therefore, you can elaborate your plans or how to
Uh,
how to get they connected with your company.
So currently, with the current, the current situation of pandemic, what we are doing is that we are coming out with a different idea how to do the internship or maybe a online training. Uh, Hopefully, we should be able to come out with an opportunity or new possibilities for giving the training. Maybe all the students can get connected to the Bravo. We are available on Instagram as well as LinkedIn and other social media. May- Maybe they can watch those and then they can get connected to Bravo and they'll understand how we are going to start the online training. And especially for the internship, what we are going to do is that wherever the robot, we are supplied to many colleges for robotic test. So we are taking them online. Yes, you have, I think your college doesn't have auto, but we can also send them or give information online because of the current situation. But when the situation is much better, the students can come and visit us and take the training, or they can join as an internship. But we have a certain criteria and under some small test where regarding what is his aspiration or what is the future he's looking for and what he wants to learn. Based on that, we select and then give the internship.
Okay, sir. I think almost you have covered all the questions, and really the session was very nice. You have explained very nicely history of Bravo robotics and automation, then global scenario of robotics, then key concerns of customers, then how you have developed the indigenous.
Hello.
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 Hello,
Hello.
sir. Am I audible?
Now you're audible. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Sir, actually, I just wanted to say thanks to you because really you have explained very nicely history of labo robotics, automation, then global scenario of robotics, then key concerns of customers, then how you have developed the different types of robots for 6 kg payload, 10 kg payload, 12 kg payload, then 50 kg payload, then how you have developed the Scala, Delta, articulated robots, different applications, and you have developed some solutions for current scenario also, that is for COVID-19 situation. And not only this, I would like to say thanks to our HOD Dr. R.S. Kamte madam and our principal madam K.R. Joshi madam. And I would like to thank to the management also. And finally, last but not least, I really thankful to all participants for patient listening. And with this, I think we should end the session. Really thank you to all. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and wish you all the best. And
Okay. Thank you, sir.
thanks a lot.
Okay.
इसके अलावा कंप्लीट नहीं है